mean, first of all, I'd like to just to say that spirituality, when we say spirituality, I'm focusing more on ruhaniya, yani in Arabic, rather than the really aloof word of spirituality in English, which is doesn't really have a meaning, is very general. But that's why I mentioned it being rooted in religion. And that's something that we discussed in the documentary anyway, for those interested. As for this focus on the self and ruhaniya and muraqabah and bettering the self and it being the main priority of my focus when I want to propagate religion, I think because the head of all wrongs, as the Prophet says, is the love of this world. And the love of this world is this accumulation of wealth. And there is no ideology that promotes this accumulation of wealth more than capitalism and this individualism that we're raised with, this liberalism where, you know, you make yourself and you bring yourself up, and it's all about what you have and what you're wearing and the cars you have, the cars you drive and the houses you have. And we're so attached to these things. And we all grow up from when we're kids in the Western world with the American dream of having that big house and the swimming pool in the house and the car. And, you know, this is a problem because it doesn't mean if you're spiritual, you can't live with nice things or experience luxury. You can. But as Imam Ali alayhi salam says, it's not that you are not supposed to be, we are not supposed to be attached to anything. And this attachment is what causes us our problems a lot in this epidemic, this what's happening right now. Unfortunately, because we are so used to this luxury, people have fallen into panic buying and hoarding and everything else that's occurred. Whereas in our narrations, we have the Imams telling us to move away from that. The idea of capitalism, the idea of 1% of the world having as much wealth as pretty much the rest of the world, when all of these things have been the way that they are. And interestingly enough, it's always a lot of the poorer people, they're the ones who are sustaining the wealth of these richer people in any case. So even though we're against it and everything, we still consume their products. So we are also aiding this system. This is the collapse of capitalism. It shows the weaknesses of it. And it's not me here, I'm not promoting communism or socialism or anything else, or even maybe there are different forms of capitalism that would do a lot better. But it's not capitalism on its own as an economic issue. It's also the love of the material world, the spiritual movement, if you want, away from God. We live in a godless world. There is no God in many people's lives. There is no belief in akhirah. So you believe that whatever I can have now is everything I have. So let me gather everything right now because I'm not going to give it up. What am I going to benefit after I die? Whereas a mu'min would say that, well, whatever I give now, I receive afterwards tenfold. So he gives away what he gives away and he waits for what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in store for him. So I think that someone who is spiritually centered, they can get by on very little. And these outer issues wouldn't necessarily affect them as much. Of course, we're all people, but I think when you are content with much less, then you can get by when all of this is happening around you. You can remain centered and remain grounded and not have to experience a lot of the unfortunate trouble and anxiety that most of the world is experiencing right now. And just so I can say between brackets, it's not that you should own nothing, it's that nothing should own you. That's what I wanted to say in the time when my mind wasn't working fast enough. Let's continue.
So that's a very valuable point. Do you think that, because you mentioned mu'min and kind of a believer, are you only referring to Muslims, or can we say that if you have Christians who genuinely believe in what they believe, would they benefit spiritually as well?
At least a believer in the afterlife, I believe, is one of the main pillars of any belief in the metaphysical world. Because when you believe in the afterlife and you believe in eternity, you believe that it's not all ending here. And so this contentment with death being merely a passing on to a different world begins to rest within your heart. And then you can give more of your dunya self because you know you're going to receive a lot more of your akhirah self. So when I say mu'min, it can be applied to Islam, yes, but it can also be applied to anyone who would believe in the afterlife, whoever they are, or anyone, even if someone was to believe in the metaphysical if you want, realities, and how they would affect their soul and their spirit, because they might also feel the benefit in dunya. They might feel that when I share, I feel the benefit. My heart feels that more content. I don't feel that guilt that I would feel before. There are certain people like that, but I think that honestly, in all honesty, Reza, I think unfortunately many of us talk. We talk a lot, and we are all for all these, campaigns to help others. But as soon as the pandemic starts knocking at our own doorstep, we throw all those campaigns in the bin. And this is when it really counts. This is when it really, really counts. And it might sound funny to you, but I remember last year when there was a small girl in the village who needed a kidney. And I don't know who this girl is, but my teacher, he gathered us in the class and he told us that he was going to go get tested to see if he could donate his kidney. And he asked if we wanted to join him. And not one person in the class said no. And this, I don't know who this little girl is. So I just saw her on the video. She broke my heart. All the brothers in my class, my teacher, and we all committed. Alhamdulillah, we found a kidney for her and we didn't have to donate our own kidneys. But what I'm trying to say is it really counts when someone knocks at your own doorstep. That's when all these campaigns counts, not when we're talking and posting pictures on our Facebooks all the time. This is when it counts. So I think this pandemic is an opportunity for you to know your place truly with God, know your place with your own self. And of course, they intertwine because he who knows himself knows his Lord. And inshallah, at the end of this, for those of us, we can come out of this in a better state than how we went into it, especially as we experience death all around us, because all of us either going to lose someone we love or know someone who lost someone they love. And that reaction to death, hopefully, if done in the correct way, in Inna Lillahi wa Inna Ilayhi Raji'un, can soften one's heart and allow him to work towards the truth, which is the afterlife, and it's not this physical life and this physical body.